Hi and welcome to the I8 NBL podcast. I'm Andrew Gaze, and joining me every week, or at least I hope he's going to join me every week, is the man who's been at the helm of the Herald Sun covering basketball for the past 13 years, and he's also the current coach of the year in the Big V Championships. And I speak of Grantley Bernard. Grantley, another exciting round two in the I8 NBL.
Another big round, couple of close games, more strife for the Tigers. It's all happening in the first couple of weeks.
There certainly is, and there's a heap to talk about. But Grantley, run us through the round two winners.
Started off last week over in Auckland. The New Zealand Breakers 96 over the Perth Wildcats 94. Bresswell and Abercrombie were the stars there. The Wollongong Hawks got up in a thriller over the Townsville Crocs 71-70. Import Gary Irvin made the free throws to win the game, and he scored 25. Cairns 85, Adelaide 36-74. That was pretty cruisy for the Taipans with Alex Loughton hitting 20 points. On Sunday night, the Blaze 94 beat the Crocs 90 in overtime. That was a ripper on the Gold Coast. Mark Worthington with 26 points, 6 rebounds was the man for the Blaze. And the last game of the round, the poor old Melbourne Terrible Tigers 66, the Perth Wildcats 91. Damien Martin, 21-9 for the Wildcats, got the job done.
And Damien Martin was fantastic in that win for the Perth Wildcats, but that game raised a lot of question about the Melbourne Tigers and really put the spotlight on them. Their first two rounds of the competition have been less than spectacular. In fact, their points scored in those two games are fourth and third worst in the history of their long tenure in the NBL. What are you making of the Melbourne Tigers, Grantley?
In a word, the Tigers are terrible right now. They have got some real issues. They go to New Zealand this week. That is going to be a big game. It could be not so much a make or break, but it's going to be a great test of character. It's going to be a great test of their offensive structure. It's going to be a great test of their defensive commitment, because let's face it, while the focus has been on their offensive struggles, their defence has been disgraceful.
Well, virtually in all facets of the game, the Melbourne Tigers have been struggling. 30-odd turnovers against the Perth Wildcats. And questions being asked, a lot of speculation about the lineup that they've put together, where they've got their four bigs. Early signs would suggest that that formula is not going to work throughout the long haul. Are we going to see some changes, Grantley?
Look, our Westover hasn't committed to any changes right now, but from my point of view, I think they do need to make some changes, not necessarily cutting the imports, Campbell and Devendorf. I think they need to make some lineup changes to get some cohesion, get things going. I think they need to bring Corletto and Burston into the starting lineup for Campbell and Halliwell. I think that'll help with what they're trying to do offensively within the structure, because Corletto and Burston both understand and know it. I think that's the first step they've got to take, see what happens from there, and then maybe make some harder calls down the track. And
I think, Grantley, you're on the money at the direction they're going to take. Let's not forget the Tigers without Tommy Greer, and he's going to be a big part of the program, you would think, going forward. And also the form of Benny Lewis. He's been a development player. He came on and showed some positive signs, so it's all not doom and gloom for the Melbourne Tigers just yet. But fair to say, a lot of work to be done. Grantley, the other games this weekend, we saw the Townsville Crocodiles on Friday night taking on the Wollongong Hawks in a game that for 99% of the game, it looked like it was just going to be the regulation win for the Crocs. And then in quite extraordinary fashion, they were able to cast it away. And also the conclusion of the game brought about an interesting set of circumstances, because we saw the referees go to the videotape. Now, before the start of the season, a directive was given to the commentators, and I assume all the officials, that because video replay can't be used in every game, that they weren't going to use it. They used it here. I think it makes sense if it's there to use it. But fair to say there's a little bit of controversy about it.
Look, there was, but I think you've hit the nail on the head, and that was, if you've got it, use it. And I think you adhere to that theory. Now, what I'm saying is the referees did the right thing. And I don't think, just reading some comments attributed to Chuck Harmison today, I don't necessarily think that the NBL has said, yes, you can use it, or no, you can't use it. I don't think they've got any black and white rule on it. I think the referees did the right thing. They got the call right, and it ended properly.
Well, I don't mean to correct you there, but there was some very black and white rules given at the start of the season. The black and white rule was that it was not to be used. So it's going to be interesting, and it's somewhat ironic that we saw the game of the Gold Coast Blaze, and right at the buzzer again, they have a chance where a foul was called, and they had no video replay. One of the referees said, yes, put him to the line to shoot two. They concurred, go through it all, and they said, no, end of game. The foul actually came after the siren. So really tough set of circumstance for the Crocs, and you reckon they'd have a fair argument to say that they'd like to see it all sorted out pretty quickly.
Look, I think that is fair enough. But to quote the great Lindsay Gaze, that one goes in the stiff bicky barrel, doesn't it?
Well, I think the language might have been a little bit more colourful.
It was, but this is a family podcast. So, look, I think, the referees, I think they did the right thing on Friday night. They were obviously in a very tough situation against Sunday night. They didn't have the TV. They can't use it. They had to rely on their judgment. I think if you've got it, use it. If it's not there, well, it's the same old, same old.
Well, I don't think the Crocs have got too much to worry about, because from what I saw of their lineup, an exciting lineup, and two heartbreaking loss, and one that might be some psychological demons, because 20 points up against the Gold Coast Blaze, so you would think that they'd have to look more to themselves about what their issues are, but they've got a fantastic lineup, play a great brand of basketball there with Trevor Gleeson, and you look at them and also the Perth Wildcats down the bottom of the table, but they are probably the two of the teams that I like the most in the competition, because they play an attractive style of basketball. They go 10 deep and are doing some really good things despite only being 1 and 2.
Yeah, look, I do like the Crocs, and I think they're going to be a playoff team, no question about that. And I think you're right that, forget about the refereeing controversies of the weekend. They've got to get on the practice floor this week, have a look at themselves, because, to give up 20-point lead, they're up by 12 at three-quarter time against Gold Coast. I tell you what, I know what it's like to cough up a 20-point lead and lose the game. It's not good. And, Trevor Gleeson, he's not going to get much sleep this week.
No, they aren't. And certainly with what we saw of the Perth Wildcats, to bounce back, they've had 3 games on the road, and go away 1 and 2 is not a disastrous result. And they certainly, Rob Beveridge has done well picking up Matty Knight, and they look like an exciting outfit and going to take some beating to win the title this season. So some great things happening around the league in round 2.
Okay, so we made this ad in a bit of a hurry, but we just couldn't wait to launch the iiNet Terabyte Broadband Plan. To be one of the first houses on your street with the Terabyte Broadband Plan, call iiNet or just go here.
Now, I've only had 2 rounds of the NBL competition, but are there any trends in the statistical categories, Grantley Bernard?
Looks like there's one in scoring at the moment. That's Gary Irvin, the Wollongong Hawks import. He's averaging 26 points a game, had another strong weekend for the Hawks. On the boards, Jacob Holmes is still up there with 12 after his 18 in the first round. With the assists, Reece Carter from Adelaide, he's got 6 helpers a game. And with the steals, Adam Gibson from Gold Coast is averaging 4.
The helpers, Grantley, bringing a few new words in there. I've never heard them called helpers, but I like it. I like what I hear. We don't have the statistical categories for turnovers. One thing you'd be assured is that the Melbourne Tigers, with 31 turnovers in one 40-minute game, they would be leading that category. But for those people out there involved in NBL Dream Team, is there any differences that you can see in the Dream Team results? We see Julian Kazoo still on top of the table in the accumulative with 162 points. But there was Damien Martins making some inroads. He's up to 142, and he was the round 2 leader with 124 points in round 2, followed by his teammate Sean Redditch, and he's in 3rd place overall with 122. Gabe Freeman and Russell Hinder, so 2 Crocs players at 94, bringing up the top 5. So out there thinking about your dream team, you might want to just start shuffling things around a little bit to try and get some of those points. Grantley, you're involved in the competition. How are you going along?
Just absolutely powering along.
Let's take a look at the current ladder after 2 rounds of the iiNet NBL. New Zealand sitting on top. Wollongong 2-0 with those 2 wins at home. 20 out of the last 21 home victories. Incredible run by the Wollongong Hawks. Sydney 1-1. Cairns, Gold Coast, Adelaide, Perth, Townsville and Melbourne bringing up the rear, but 2 of the teams, they're down there in 3rd last and 2nd last, but Perth and Townsville, got to like the look of those 2 ball clubs as we speak. Grantley, another exciting round, we hope anyway, coming up in round 3 of the iiNet NBL competition. Run us through the schedule.
Melbourne Tigers are facing a game of truth against the New Zealand Breakers on Thursday night in Auckland. Perth Wildcats have got their first home game when they come up against the Wollongong Hawks on Friday. Gold Coast Blaze and the Cairns Taipans in a Queensland derby. On Saturday, it's the Townsville Crocs at home to the Sydney Kings. And on Sunday, the Adelaide 36ers are at Brett Maher Court against the Wollongong Hawks, finishing off the Doomsday Double.
For all the latest news, sign up to Fast Break newsletter at iinet.nbl.com.au. And don't forget to order all your fantastic iinet NBL Club merchandise from nblstore.com.au. It goes off. The iinet NBL Championship podcast is proudly brought to you by iinet, of course, Connect Better, and 1HD Spalding and 1 OAMPS and Centrebet. They're all chipping in and making a fantastic contribution to the sport. Exciting round coming up, Grantley. Looking forward to all the iinet NBL action, and make sure you get out and support your team and get to a game. Until next week, bye for now.